Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition. And last time I was reading the scriptures in the last video, and I got cut off there. I was getting pretty heavy into it, anyways. The time was running in to about like an hour and a half of the video, so I didn't want to get cut off. I was just reading the scriptures, anyways. But I'll try to make the videos a little bit shorter. And I don't about that too. Like I just like to again go on and on and on, right? So for the people listening, I know it might be time consuming, but I'm trying to say you got nothing better to do. There is nothing better to do. You got to understand, like, the world is trying to take people away from learning about the true nature of being. So if this is what deny thyself means, if you got that itch to like watch TV or do something in this world to be entertained or have your attention on something in this world, that's what denying thyself means. And then it's not necessarily turn to your outer interests. That's another thing too. I'm not a person that'll tell you to go out and chase your dreams. This teaching will crush your dreams and bring you into reality, actually. I'm not a person that'll tell you to indulge in your hobbies, because that's also fruitive activities, looking to get results from your activity. That's kind of what a hobby is. People want to progress in something. It's just how nature is. Nature also progresses through its seasons. So being involved in fruitive activities, the living entities believe that they're caught up in some sort of life, and it gives them a feeling that they're living by these activities that they're involved in. It could be a hobby, a job, a family life, and all these are outer distractions. All of these things that human beings call life, it's walking around in a wheel, and they have no idea how to navigate within that wheel too, right? So if people have like a family life, you have to understand you don't know what's going to happen 2 seconds from now. You have no idea how to maintain a relationship with your loved ones 15, 20 years from now, or even if you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody. Okay, well, how are you going to it's how you're going to live with that person now? Do you have the wisdom to even live with that person for an X amount of time? It's not like time will tell. It's if people actually work within the proper principles, and then they'll unfold harmoniously together. Or even at a job too. It's just all about pro- basically exercising proper principles in order to have the longevity. But even at a job too, like your career could be replaced. Nowadays too, especially with robots. I was talking with a friend of mine not too long ago, and he said he went to a sushi restaurant, and now there's no more servers. You basically order from a tablet, and then they have robots serving you. It's kind of like those vacuums, those hover vacuums, and it had like like a filing cabinet on top of it, kind of, where all your orders are in these trays, and these robots roam around and get and bring the food to the table. So, I mean, automatic cashiers. You never know. No one's life is insured like days of old, where you have this job like Fred Flintstone and you just set for life. Things are being rapidly changed and progressing and evolving. So that's what I mean about the human being not having wisdom. That's why the void, and certain teachers like Miyamoto Musashi says, all wisdom or the way is in the void. So if one is trying to find a way in life, see, that's what I'm trying to tell you about human distractions. Now, the way in life would to use your mind to get an education or something like that, or use your body to go out and work. So mind and body is used in this society, and then there's the total disregard for your spiritual capacities. And obviously, you can't go to school to develop spiritual capacities. It's impossible. None of the Einsteins or none of the suit dummies that are in university have any spiritual knowledge at all, or else they would be on the forefront of bringing spiritual wisdom or bringing enlightenment to the population, because that's what think tanks, or basically places that harbor knowledge, should be breeding individuals with that knowledge. But as you can see, if you go to school is useless for anything spiritual, and so is the church. You think any enlightened individuals are in the church? They don't practice that word called enlightenment. It doesn't exist in their vocabulary, and therefore it just isn't practiced. So this work is taken serious because remember, you're going to die. So it doesn't matter if you're going to go to school one day and be a super smash brother and rack up all the kills over there. If you're one of those dudes that are super smash brothers and you're racking up all the kills, right, with all those girls you're trying to notch under your belt, man, you have to realize, just like the Buddha said to the great king, you have a castle, you have wealth, you have all these concubines, women. That's fantastic, but when death comes around the corner, what are you going to do about it? And there is no answer for the human being except for spiritual consciousness. That's why this has to be taken seriously, because this has to deal with your immortal soul. And when we cross these thresholds in life, it can be very scary. That's why I'm making these videos about fear. I got caught up in the last time of the video because fear was so prevalent in my experience, and overcoming the fear with just transcendental knowledge is the absolute truth of existence. You will get help by the Holy Spirit. It's not like you're left to your own devices, like, oh, human beings are these human memes. You got to help yourself. And if you don't help yourself, that's the truth. If you don't help yourself, no one's going to help you in life. But you have to help yourself to God, and God will help you. It's not like you have to do favors for God. The only thing you have to do is keep up your devotional service, which is prayer, meditation, the same word. Thinking, praying and meditating is keeping your mind, your thoughts stayed on God, staying on the truth. So you want to keep your thoughts limited to just simple things as well about the truth. Just remember your invisible nature. It's growing with, just like you go to the gym. You only have a limited level of knowledge at first. Then you're just thrown in there with the sharks. Learn how to swim. So as you start swimming, you gain more knowledge and experience. And then you kind of throw away some things. Some things don't matter anymore. Some things do. So you have to discern, again, what is important that you've learned on this path, even on your path of life. Like, for me, let's say high school, around those years, those are the most useless years. But at the same time, the mind was so... That's the point in time where the fruits are so ripe in an individual. If they would have, educated people better, then people would have had a better chance in life anyways. But some points in time, like, you're going to have to just erase. They're useless experiences, and you're going to have to let them go anyways. And just focus on what you accumulated. So you have to be like a refiner. You have to strain out your experience. That's the self-purification process as well. Self-refining. I've made a lot of mistakes on this path too. It wasn't a perfect way to the Lord. That's for damn sure. It was a lot of reading, trial and error, not understanding what to do with my life. I had no clue what to do at all, or what's going on in the outside world. And that causes the living entities a lot of anxiety, depression, pain, misery, especially trying to counteract bodily conditions to conform to not only just your standard, but also the outer world standards of appearance. So there's lots of... See, all these are just imposed challenges on individuals. And there might not appear a remedy. Like I said, the way is only through spiritual consciousness to live a harmonious life. So what I mean by that is, let's say if we are young and we're trying to find our way in life and we go upon this path, right? Now, it's not going to be too hard to find out what we should be doing with our lives. So we need to make a living. It doesn't matter what we do at this point. That's why if we rely on just the invisible, we don't rely on temp agencies. We don't rely on job searches. We don't rely on anything else in the outside world once it comes to getting line of employment. What we do is we rely on the Spirit still. We sit and pray. We do the things that we need to do in the world to acquire a job. So it's like writing resumes, handing them out. That's the only thing you can do. And just focus on the things that you can do. And that's the best that you can do. And then you go back and pray. You don't hope that you're going to get a freaking job, because you are going to get a job. If you hand out your resume to 100 places, 5 or 6 of them might call you back. That's just the odds of this world, anyways. You don't need to rely on God for that. So, what we rely on God for is placing us correctly where we need to be placed, not where we want to be placed. Now, we might be placed somewhere where we don't like. Well, the human being might want to counteract that miserable situation about his employment and then go seeking other jobs by external means, going online and job search this and job search that. Good luck. That's the contaminated consciousness trying to counteract a miserable situation. And if he's in a miserable situation, especially with his finance, well, in this world, it's very difficult to just go up and get another job because people are locked into professions or locked into employment. So for the next 5, 10, 15 years, they're just stuck in this situation that they might not like. But again, it's what they need. That's the thing with the Lord. He doesn't give you what you want in life, because this is the material world. And the object and mission of the Christ is to take us out of matter. So he's not going to make you coast along having a girlfriend with Netflix and chill, especially if you're on this path. This is going to be a very difficult path, and you're not going to have the material comforts and luxuries. So even at a job, you might be uncomfortable. That's not even about that's if people are uncomfortable at their jobs, fucking grow up. Actually, look at the things that you have to do. Do you want to be a bum on the street? There's lots of other things to consider other than your comfort levels. Well, that's what I'm talking about, is the fact that if we go to spiritual consciousness, we just rely on the Lord to put us wherever we need, to supply us with whatever we need, not want. Yeah, sure, when I was younger, I wanted, like every idiot wants everything, but you get what you need in life. And that's what people are crying about in the society. They don't have enough of the material objects, or they're saying that they're too poor. The Lord gives every person, like a piece of the puzzle, a place on earth. And you might get planted around in a rich, family, or you might get planted around in a poor family. The Lord gives you those situations so you grow out of material consciousness and into spiritual consciousness anyways. So if you're poor, that's even better of a chance, because that fits more to the scriptures of the Bhagavad Gita. These guys are walking around in their underwear, starving for spiritual consciousness. So if you're poor, don't cry about you can't buy a cell phone every year like all these other idiots. And they're not cell phones, they're computers. So people are buying computers every year for unknown reasons. Why? Because they can afford it. Good. If you're in that wheel of economics and you can afford things, that's the wheel of doom. That's what the master says. The path of hell is very, very broad, and a lot of people will be going there because these are the materialists who follow the seasons of economy rather than the seasons of life. And it's just that simple as well too. They follow buying the effing crap every year. And if people are that enlightened and they're like, oh, we don't want to be sheep and slaves to corporations, then why the F are you buying all this crap every year? Every moron's got a smart watch, a smart and they think they're intelligent with their smart technologies. Meanwhile, they don't even know how to operate they can't drive their cars without any navigational tools at all. They would get lost driving down the street. They didn't have the GPS telling them that Wendy's is just around the corner. People are so pathetic that they rely on technology for every little possible thing. And they think they're the modern individual as well too, that this is the way. See, if you get caught up in technology, the cycles of man, that's what they call the number of the beast. And his mark is 666. and his intelligence, he's in the image of man. This is how people get caught up in the ideas of man. That's wearing the mark of material consciousness, we could say. So if you're the person that gets caught up in buying the effing crap that no one needs for lots of money year after year, that's taking into man's ideal of life. And that's having the mark of the beast, because his image is made in man. And having the mark of the Spirit is following the way of Christ. It's just spiritual consciousness in the void. So things could be scary for individuals. They might not have a phone. Oh my God. They might not have a TV or a computer. I didn't have a computer for, I don't know, 6 or 7 months. I didn't have one all of last year, basically, because I've had it for too long. I had my laptop for over 10 years, my computer over 10 years. I'm not a sucker that buys this crap every year. You know what I mean? This technology could last forever, and the upgrades are minimal year after year. My computer of 10 years can still. It just the power supply blew out. If I could just change the power supply and still use my computer that's over 10 years old, and it's still good for just what I need it for. I don't play video games. I just open up a damn browser. And that's what people are using with their phones too. They're just opening up effing Facebook and effing other apps, and they're buying a new phone for just opening up Facebook every year. Idiots. Catastrophic idiots. See, that's the problem with people and consumerists. They get caught up in the beast thinking. Why? Oh, I know why now. Because the Lord does not give them intelligence, you see. So people like us on the other side, we're like, why are people so fucking stupid? Yeah, it's because they follow man's way, you see? And man's not intelligent. He has the mark of the beast. Only the Lord is intelligent. Only the Lord can guide one in one's existence to where he needs to go, the proper employment, let's say the proper woman in his life. Only the Lord can give you the not. You know how all the guys out there are saying women are effing crazy. Yeah, that's because you're going out there with the mark of the beast mentality, right? You got the Brovane, you got the Honda Civic, you got the half tank full of gas, and you're looking for some ass to fill up the rest of the tank, dog. That's just mark of the beast thinking. Going on these Facebooks, flashing dick pics, just doing what man does. Generation after generation, he develops interesting hobbies and certain social etiquettes now. In the 90s, no one was flashing dick pics. Nowadays, that's what people do. That's what people do. It's pretty disgusting if you ask me, but that's just what people do. So if you follow what people do, right? You get that Brovane in the gym and you're just lifting up your shirt thinking that you got some abs or something, and you're going to try to hit up you're going to be a Super Smash Brother and rack up the kills, dog. That's mark of the beast. That's the thing is with the society, they say there's alpha males. And that's also a meme. That's a misconception. There is no such thing as an alpha male. Let's put it this way. The proper perspective and consciousness is, remember, we're all one consciousness, okay? But everyone's not on the same level of consciousness. So, there's no such thing as like an alpha consciousness. That's called God awareness, you could say. God gives his consciousness to everybody. You don't have to be an alpha male or a smart guy, or God gives his grace and mercy. That's the best consciousness to meek and lowly individuals in this world. So again, if you're like a meathead, if you're one of those guys that are, kings of the liver or something like that, and you're just scarfing down protein and popping steroids, and that's your life, and then you're trying to counteract the guys that are sitting at home and are arguing on their computers and stuff like that, their mom's basements, and other guys think that they're cool because they're jacked up and stuff like that. Again, it's all nonsense. It's just counteracting these social concepts and memes, and people are developing themselves into a meme. Men aren't men because they're jacked up on roids. That's another thing too. And women aren't women because they got big tits and tight asses. What makes people individuals is grinding up that level of consciousness. And if you're not grinding up consciousness, then you're just a dog. As the Bhagavad Gita says, if people that turn away from the teachings of the truth, they're no different than stool eating hogs. So it doesn't matter if you're jacked up to the teats, dog, and you're just you're Super Smash Brothers racking up the kills. You're just racking up the points for the gates of hell because you're ignorant of religion and its principles in this life. So people think that they could be living good. They got the bro vein or they got some cash or whatever the hell. As long as that's not, if I'm not saying that any of these things are evil. It's just how you use it. Nothing is evil in the world. Remember, you got to understand this point as well too. It's atoms are created. Everything good. There's no such thing as a good or an evil atom. So when you look at me, I'm just comprised of atoms, and there's no such thing as a good or an evil atom. They all operate off principles, very just scientific principles as well too. There is no discrimination between an atom and good and evil. So any object in this material realm is not evil or good. It's the consciousness of the individual that determines the state. Remember, it's the state of consciousness about these objects and their use, whether it's going to be harmful to the living entities or beneficial to the living entities. So let's put it this way. I'm not I don't hark on anyone taking steroids, but that's a man. You got to understand this. That's a man-made thing. God didn't make that. So if you use man-made things, you're just subject under the law, and you have no idea how this law is going to affect the physical body over time, how it's going to interact with your body over time. You can take roids, see people are taking them and they're dropping dead, or they're not producing healthy, long living lives. It's very rare for some people to reach those levels of longevity. Like, let's say Joe Rogan, he admits to taking steroids, and he's a little bit older now, right? But messing around with man-made things and think you're going to this is man's wisdom now. Like I told you, man does not have the wisdom to prolong any life. That's why the master says not to take thought, because no man can count the hair on his head. He can't do anything in this world without John chapter 15, the branch. You're just branches, and without being on that tree, you can't do nothing. So this is Joe Rogan, okay? Or man's wisdom. I'm not harking on anyone, but he wants to live a healthy life, active, and man's way is taking steroids when you're a little bit older. Is that the way to prolong your life now? That's one thing man has to realize. He's developed his way, and then there is the way. And Mr. Musashi was trying to say not to deviate from the way. If you deviate from the way, then you miss out on it's just you miss out. That's other people's problems. So that's another thing too, taking the materialistic approach to longevity in life. Staying healthy and active in the gym. It's important to do those things as duties. Yeah, you have a duty to the physical body, but not attach that as a fact that that's a point for longevity in life, or your health. Your health is not in the material world. Your health is in the spirit. Your health is with God. Is your well-being. That's another thing as well too. You can't have a well-being in this life. It doesn't matter if you're eating right, training right. You're just subject to this world and its laws. And if you don't elevate your consciousness and absolve death in your consciousness, then you're still in this world, and the laws of nature are always working upon the entity. It doesn't matter if they're taking steroids to counteract the old age or the lack of testosterone. Man thinks he's smart. That's all I'm trying to say. That's why I'm not harking on anybody. Man thinks he's smart, and that's all it is. He thinks he's a smart ass. Just like the Chen Buddhists. When logic started progressing in man, he started thinking he was smart, and then he deviated from the way. And they were like, oh, frigate, we don't need Confucius anymore. We don't have to go around and helping people and being rooted and situated in love especially love thy neighbor, we could just sit around and meditate all day and develop spiritual consciousness. Well, man thinks that he could prolong his physical body by taking steroids, so when he's older he could always have that, youthful appearance, even if he is in vain and doesn't realize his body's going to be a corpse one day anyways. Or if he, see, like myself, I would have been training it forever. That's how it is, right? But I looked at it as a duty not only to myself to make sure that my mind was free, because once you are given certain duties in life, your mind has to perform them to the best of your ability. At least for me, I had to perform things to the best that I was capable of doing, or else I wouldn't get any rest. You know what I mean? It still feel like my job wasn't done or my duty wasn't fulfilled. So it's important to, when you're in your activities, to have a sense of duty, but to also have a sense of detachment. Especially if you're working out, you have to realize the universal principle behind it. Anybody can do these things. It's not just you're that are jacked and special and strong. It's a universal principle, and anybody can grind up with the proper knowledge. And that's the same thing with God. You're not special. If anything on the spiritual path, you're an insignificant worldling that just stumbled upon the secret room because you just that's all that you are. You're just the sheep in John chapter 10, and the master's the shepherd. So you're nobody special in this work. That's what the worldling thinks. He out there in the world, he's special. He's opulent. He's got a strong body, a good looking face. He's freaking jacked up in all areas of his body as well too. Like he's just the specimen, you know what I mean? He's the total package. And the total package is walking around, contaminated consciousness with his sexual delusions. He doesn't care about nothing. He's just a total package at this point. Walking around with a half tank of gas too, looking for the piece of ass to fill up the rest of it. That's how some of these dogs roll. They try to pick up girls to help fucking fill up the gas tank. So don't be susceptible to these appearances, women. Just because a guy fucking has a car, just like you've been learning in that Netflix show, buddies renting Ferraris, and these idiots are playing themselves. That's the thing with these girls, right? They think that, oh, this guy's rich, and yeah, they played themselves, and they think they're the victim. All right, so when the total package comes up, just like Lex Luger, Vince McMahon thought he was a total package, but he couldn't really wrestle. He might look good. See, guys might look good, right? That's the thing with, they're going to realize this with relationships, right? Here with couples and stuff like that. You can't do the conventional things in life. You can't date each other. You can't go out and perform these social habits of dating because people put up a front. They go out and they pretend to be the best that they can be. And they're all just pretending. This is concoction. They're all creating mental concoctions of each other. So this is what you're dating someone the first time, mental concoctions. And that's the thing with dating. Why can't you? When I'm going to date someone, if I ever do date someone, I'm like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to come over to my house? But the mental concoctions, because of the speculation of dating, you're going to think that I'm going to be plowing the fields of, just plowing the fields a little bit too early, dog. But nah, I ain't spending any money dating. I ain't wasting time doing nothing. Listen, you want to hang out? Maybe we can get to know each other. Come over to my house. So 6 months from now, right, when people have the dating bug wore off, they get to know each other, and they're like, I don't like this fucking person. That's because you didn't get to know each other at first. I'm taking different. See, society's already. It's just people. They have memes, ideas. This is darkness. They have ideas of how things have to be. And if you're one of those people of how things have to be this way, you're a conditioned soul, as the Bhagavad Gita calls you. And I can't be with that's the rules and conditions. I can't be with conditioned souls, male or female. You're just noobs in life, especially in the year 2023, dog. We're flying shit to Mars, and people don't have spiritual consciousness. That's kind of the gap that I'm thinking too. This is ridiculous. We're in an enlightened age, all right, where people don't know nothing about nothing. and we're flying things to Mars, and people don't know nothing about nothing. See all the phones that people are buying. They have no idea how the phone works first. They just they open it up, go on their Snapchats, and just take a good old picture of their whatever the hell is going to help them satisfy one of their pleasures or sense gratifications for this time. So we're at the 30-minute mark. We'll call it quits too, because it's just been about a video. I guess just talking. I didn't even get into scripture yet, but talking about fear and just confronting again the materialism. You're going to have to drop these concepts, drop these forms, drop these ideas, drop some, just drop people out of your life if they're just materialists. You don't need them. Who cares? Let them go. They're going to die and they don't even realize they're dead. They're the people, the materialist, and the conditioned soul is basically like the noob that plays Mario for the first time and he falls in the Mario hole. Do 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 do. Yeah, the conditioned living entity is like 30, 40 years old or whatever, right? But he's just so close to that Mario hole he doesn't even understand. That's the thing too. Accumulating objects, gathering family members, all of those, like Baba Gatam says, are going to turn around like hyenas and eat him up one day if he can't maintain that status quo for himself. Well, how is he going to maintain the status quo? He doesn't have the wisdom to maintain his life. That's why That's why anything happens in life. It's not. It's like the World Wrestling Federation, dog. Anything could happen, and that's what life is. It's the WWW, and how are people going to be prepared for the WWW? You got to walk through the void. Spiritual consciousness. That's the only way to be the WWW champion in life, is to walk through the void and have spiritual training. If not, you're a freaking job guy. You're worse than a job guy. You're those cretins that backyard wrestle and jump off their freaking balconies and onto like the razor blades in the dumpster and all the freaking glass fluorescent tubes. You're one of those just cockroaches that shouldn't even be waking up in the morning and thinking about doing these things. That's what you are if you're conditioned living entities, buying iPhones, buying iWatches, buying and buying. Why the whole buying and getting? See, what I learned in video games is they're conditioning the conditioned entities to grind up basically like you have to do things like points. Do this, 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 do this. That's all video games are. Just like do this, do this, do this, do this, and then here's your reward. And that's basically how they're conditioning people as well too in the outside world. You need a phone for everything. Why? Oh, because you now in order to interact with society, even like fucking everything you need, like a restaurant, you have to get a phone, get an app, and then interact with this freaking app in our restaurant, and you get this. See, life is in this world. It's all about getting. And remember, the psychological component about this with Mr. Sigmund Freud and Century of Self, that's a documentary you guys need to check out. They're trying to link your psyche to material objects and forcing the psyche to rely on these objects for survival. So people rely on the phone for survival and everything that relates to the phone. It's outer objects and linking your psyche, your conditioned soul to just objects, useless objects. Phone is not useless, but the way people are the walking dead, as I was witnessing the other day, they're just looking into their phone and walking slow. That's the people. And if people are so enlightened and they're talking about the walking dead, then why are they walking like the walking dead themselves? That's one thing too Mr. Miyamoto Musashi said. If you see the freaking sheep lining up to the slaughter, you have to get out of line. It's that simple. That's what Confucius says as well too. You just have to stand in the right. And if you stand in the right, you ain't gonna be one of those sheep that go up into the slaughter, buying, and getting. Guys are getting headaches. And this world is ridiculous because people like to get things, and it's just things. What are you guys getting at the end of the day? Because you're gonna freaking die. And people don't understand that. That's why they think they're living too. Well, no, you were dead as soon as you were born because that's contaminated consciousness from the first fall. So now all your life you're just getting what? In a material world. Remember, the Master's Pistis Sophia. This world doesn't even exist without the light of your soul, without the light of Jesus Christ. without the light of God. So the living entities are concocting their skins attached to their intellects. They're trying to fulfill this concocted mental image of their flesh. What are you doing out here? That's the thing, human beings. What the fuck are you doing out here? You're just fornicating with each other with material objects. That's all the human being is in this day and age. He's just fornicating with himself, gathering objects for more fornication. Wives don't matter. Marriage doesn't matter. In this material realm, people are ill-religious. They think they do whatever they want too. That's the thing. This realm is built off of religion, and you can't. Oh, you can though, right? There's free will. Oh yeah, go ahead, because the other invisible realm, the unseen, they don't like the things that people do in this realm. They never did. That's why they made it this way, to trap the living entities. That's why the Lord God and the Pistis Sophia trapped Adam with the cloth of tunic of flesh. So if he doesn't do the things, right, that the Lord God wants him to do, there's hell. There is a hell. There's not only a hell, but loads and loads of hells. There's I think Bhagavad Gita said up to 80,000 different hells for all people that do these ill-religious things. But each of your ill-religious thought is associated with one of these hells. So let's say if you like killing animals for fun, these guys that go out and hunt, and they just like hunting for fun, and killing animals for no reason, there's a hell for you specifically for just doing that act. That's what people don't know about creation, is every act matters. It's not YOLO. Every footprint you step matters. People don't know this. So they think that, it doesn't really matter. No God's watching me. No anything's watching me. I'm slaughtering all these animals. I'm getting away with it, you see. But what it does is it breeds more ill religion in the individual. And because he breeds more ill religion within himself, he doesn't realize that life doesn't want you killing anything unless you need it. That's one of the rules. And if you're just killing because of your self-indulgence and pleasure, life does not like those things. It throws you into hell to pay for what you did to life. And the animals, it says in one of the hells too, they attack you. They get revenge. So there's a hell if people just kill animals for fun and torture them and shit like that. There's fucking vultures that peck people's eyes out and eat their faces over and over and over. Remember, you don't die. Your soul is immortal and eternal. That's who you are. And if you practice ill religion and doing these things in this world, you think like a Jeffrey Dahmer, bud. He's just in ignorance, carving up animals and taxiderming them for no reason. So that's why there's hell. You think Jeffrey Dahmer's going anywhere but fucking hell? He is going to straight hell. Why? Practicing ill religion. Life doesn't like you doing nothing and eating people and killing them for no reason. You think you're going to get away with these things? Oh, man. Yeah, once you get caught by man, you might go to jail. But as you've seen in jail, he just got killed in jail. Someone beat his ass. But that's not good enough for life. He still has to pay for every little step that he did in his ill-religious behavior. And he's going to probably go through many eons of fucking hell. Hells, too. There's mad fucking hells for all people's ill religion. They're cheating concepts. They're lying concepts. If you like lying, there's a hell for just liars, bud. And lying, remember, there's all different types. Lying about money. Man, there's just as much as you could create a lie, there's a million different reasons to lie. And all those reasons to lie lead to the gates of hell as well. That's why life is ridiculous. This is why the Master's taking us out of mortality, because we should not be here. Remember, this universe was an aborted creation. But I'll cut it quits just for time's sake, all right? Thanks for hanging out with me. Talk more about fear for the next couple videos, because fear is very important to overcome. And we'll get into the scriptures and doctrines and covenants. Thanks a lot, guys, and take care.